All right, so for our final project deliverable, we decided to do an interview. And we're going to start off by introducing ourselves and basically sharing our topic. So my name is Elise Garcia, and then if we want to go around to the group.
My name is Eileen Kong.
My name is Pengyan Chen.
I'm Joseph Peña.
And I'm Oliver Otter.
And we are all students in public health that are in a class that is focused on creating a more sustainable world. And for our final project, we focused on the widespread impacts of public protection equipment like PPE, and more specifically, the mask use during COVID-19 pandemic. Who wants to share the next part?
Yeah, we noticed that although masks have been a great resource to reduce the spread of COVID-19, it starts to bring a new problem, which is that masks have become a part of everyday life, and then its improper disposal has brought some harm to our environment and wildlife. And we found that these problems may be due to the overall lack of communication between the government, sanitation companies, and communities. In addition, manufacturing could be done in a way that is more eco-friendly to our environment.
So we just wanted to connect with you, Sydney, since you're an expert in this area, and we just wanted you to share a little bit about the committee that you're a part of.
Yeah, for sure. So hi, I'm Sydney Rouse. I'm a student at UCSB, and I'm in the student-led Zero Waste Committee here, and we just really focus on all aspects of just trying to make the school a more sustainable and produce less waste. And there we kind of created another separate organization that's called Litter Free IV, which is stands for Litter Free Isla Vista. That's the little town in Santa Barbara. And it is really focused on cleaning up disposable masks, and even with the main focus of non-reusable masks, because even just walking on the street in such a condensed place like where we live, you can see so many masks just on the floor, just from people, they're coming out of their pockets or not disposed of properly. And so it is a really big issue, and I'm really excited that you guys were able to do some more research on it.
Very cool. Thank you for sharing all of that. So I think we're now going to ask you some questions just based off what you're talking about, the recent project you guys started. And my first question is, what are ways you personally or your committee have taken initiative in trying to figure out ways to solve the mask waste issue occurring in our environment?
So we started making up these on every a couple Sundays. That I think we've only done 3 events so far, but we've had people sign up to come help out and clean up these masks, and we passed money to get gloves and trash crawler things so people can pick them up in a safe way, because obviously people aren't going to want to come and pick them up just with their bare hands. So, and that's really exciting. And then a way to kind of incentivize people to come to these events is that we pass money to get gift cards to a pizza place in Isla Vista or a different place, and t-shirts to kind of raffle them off to people, just to incentivize them to bring their friends, because it really is only an hour of people's days on Sundays. And just I think even just seeing the impacts firsthand, just walking down a full street and looking out for all of these masks really opens people's eyes to how big of an issue it is, especially in just such a small area. Thinking about it in just this small town that we live in, all over the world, this is the reality now. And I think just creating systems and events where people are able to help out and help ensure that they're disposed of properly is really important. So it's really cool to kind of be a part of that.
I think my next question is, what suggestions do you have for governments or even just communities in general to recycle these used masks?
Yeah, I think a really big part of it is in encouraging people to use reusable masks instead of single-use masks, just to ensure that they're like not using single use all the time in just every part of life. And then also maybe putting those pressures on companies to make these masks in with better materials that can be easily recyclable and plastics that aren't going to be around for years and years before they decompose.
Pang, you're muted.
Sorry. Yeah, and my question is, could you shed some light on the severity of the problem, maybe in both the short term and potentially in the long term?
Yeah, I definitely think in the short term, just so much waste is being like created from these masks. And I saw a statistic where it was saying that in the UK, all the non-recyclable plastic masks will be equivalent to 5.5 Eiffel Towers. And that's just over the last year. So that's just crazy in terms of the short-term impacts. And then also the long-term impacts, just them having these masks broken down, a lot of them ending up in the ocean are going to affect wildlife and habitats on land and water. So I think there's a lot of long-term and short-term impacts that need to be addressed.
Given that the effects of mask waste are so widespread in different communities and present various different challenges across these communities, do you believe that this issue needs to be more so addressed on a local, a state, or a federal level?
I definitely think that there needs to be a connection between both like state, federal, and local levels. And I really do think like local communities should be having events or just ensuring that the public or encouraging them to wear reusable masks or making sure that masks are disposed of properly. Or even like I've seen a lot of things about cutting masks like before you dispose of them so they don't end up like strangling wildlife or like in the ocean. So I definitely think that, and like hopefully moving on, like in a couple years, hopefully we won't have a need for these. And so hopefully like at that time, like there will be a better system. But also I think just like at the federal level and at the state level, like making a better waste system or making just like ensuring companies are taking the time and like dedicating their resources to making these masks not made out of such harmful plastics.
And for my question, it might be a little hefty question, but as the world moves back to normalcy, like with the distribution of the vaccine, do you think PPE pollution will still be a big concern for the environment, or do you think PPE pollution will still play a big role as the future as we continue to the future?
I definitely think that I feel like this has honestly probably been a problem just with like so many single-use like plastic materials or just so many single-use materials being used like kind of in the medical field. And I think that it probably has been an issue, but just hasn't really had like light has not been shed on it until this kind of issue has just been so visible to everyone, like literally walking down the street. So I think that hopefully with time, and like I know this has been going on for a year, and I feel like the environmental impacts have been pushed to the side because obviously the health impacts have been the most like attention grabbing. But I definitely think that we have so much technology, there's so many things that we could do to improve this issue. So I definitely think that although like the waste that has been like has come out of this situation, I think it's shed a light on like how our waste systems and how like just our daily activities can definitely be transformed into becoming more sustainable and less wasteful.
That was all very good. Thank you, Sydney, for covering all those questions. I think that you shared a lot of additional things that we didn't find in our research. So I think this is something that we can take into account and even share with our classmates, as well as our community, like the things you said of picking up trash and getting people motivated to like help out the environment. So I think that this interview was very helpful for our project, but also our own ideas moving forward. So thank you for your time.
Yeah,
Thank
of
you,
course.
Sydney.
Thank you guys for
you.
having me. Yeah, of
Thank you,
course.
Sydney.
Good job on this.
Thank you.
Thanks.